Okay, welcome to propaganda techniques and campaign ads. All right, we're actually going to cover this material a little bit later in the class um, when we get to the campaign stuff. But with the election project coming up, I want you to at least be aware of some of the propaganda techniques and the ads that you're seeing here in good old Mundelein. Okay. So we're going to come back to those slides in a little bit. First, when you analyze your campaign ads, you want to figure out what type of ad it is. There's basically 4 types of ads, and these are the more likely questions you're going to see on the AP exam. Okay. Then I'm going to also go into the propaganda techniques. All right. Biographical ad is pretty straightforward. It's usually used by challengers in congressional races. What you're trying to do is get your name out. Okay, try and counter that name recognition. No real substance on the issues. Usually pictures of you and your family, history of your career in politics, jobs you've had, things like that. Okay. There's also positive ads. Again, it's pretty generically sounding, but it's used by incumbents. Usually states the position on the issues, so we get into the credit claiming. Right? I was able to do this, I accomplished this, cleaned up this harbor, or got funding for this issue, voted against this bill, stuff like that. But usually just trying to say what you did positive. Incumbents generally want to do this because there's no real reason to go negative unless the polls get close enough. You have usually a built-in advantage. As long as you stay positive, it generally is going to work. That's in a congressional campaign. All right? Contrast ad is a little different. All right, this is what they probably ask you about. Contrast ad was where you state the candidate's position on the issues and you compare it to their opponent. Okay, so it usually asks voters to make a choice. All right, candidate A stands for this, this, and this. Candidate B, however, supports this, this, and this. You know, which one's best for our country or something like that. Okay, but it's going to tilt the bias toward the sponsor, but you are going to see both sides and sort of put the decision to the voters. And the negative ads are more often used by the challenger, again, unless that incumbent is facing a primary, a tough challenge, either a primary or general election, and then they'll be forced to go negative. Melissa Bean did that in her campaign. She was thought she was really far ahead of Joe Walsh in the polls. Polls started to get close. She then went negative on Joe Walsh, and it kind of backfired on her. But here you point out the flaws of the candidates, and you want to use the propaganda to distort the truth. That's why it's so important we can recognize propaganda to figure out why they're misleading us. All right. Campaign finance laws do not allow independent groups, which we do something called independent expenditures. We'll learn more about that later. But they don't allow groups to run ads saying vote for or against someone. So the independent groups find negative ads to be most effective, all right? Because all the ad can educate you, the ad can inform you of something, but it can't say vote against Brad Schneider or vote against Randy Hultgren or vote for, Joe Walsh. All it can do is educate you. So the negative ad just says, Joe Walsh did this, this, and this. Is he best for Congress? And then technically, you've made that choice to vote for or against the person. If you want to see some of the best ads, the website you want to go to is livingroomcandidate.com. All right. Livingroomcandidate.com has the best political ads over the years. Sorry, this isn't written the best. Has the best campaign ads from each election. We'll actually do a lesson analyzing those, but if you want to look at them now, you can kind of see some good examples of each of these. Okay. Now the propaganda techniques. All right. So the ads you see on the side of the road are going to fit one of those 4 types. Okay. And just usually the guy's name is generally a positive ad because you just Wally Frazier, mayor. You're just trying to be positive and get the name out as best you can. But this comes from Magruder's American Government Textbook, all right, which is a popular regular government book that they use. And some AP teachers actually say that you could teach the course out of this and a kid could get a 5 because it's pretty detailed, straightforward, very visual, okay? But it kind of tells you what you need to know. This isn't as much what's going to be on the AP exam, but I think as a citizen, you should definitely be aware of these propaganda techniques and figure out what the candidates are trying to do. Okay, a glittering generality is usually where you'll make a broad and vague statement like support Mundelein, buy local, where we've seen that before. All right, nothing really specific, but just some kind of statement that just sounds good that you want to get out into people's heads. Okay, a couple examples. In the interest of peace and prosperity, what does that really mean? Just sounds good. Or patriotism, freedom, democracy, and the good old USA. Those are all just glittering generalities. Something you want to say. Really basic. Romney has one in the classroom that says believe in America. It's a glittering generality. Everybody believes in America. Inspiration and liberty for all. Okay. Plain folks, all right, you'll see these kinds of ads. This is where you want to try and be one of the common people. George Bush would do this, wearing a cowboy hat. Jimmy Carter would always go around with his sleeves rolled up, kind of wanted one of the common people. I have a ad of Rod Blagojevich sitting on a front porch talking to a family. I'm sure that really happened, okay? I'm the worker's friend. There you see George Bush with the pickup truck, a cowboy hat. He's kind of one of the common people. So that way the voters don't see you as being this highfalutin, uppity snob person. It sees you as one of them, essentially. All right? Repetition. All right? This is where you repeat something over and over again, and you want somebody to believe it because they've heard it so often. Okay? Change you can believe in. You know, campaign slogans usually try and come up with this kind of stuff. Bill Clinton said, "Don't stop thinking about tomorrow," was his campaign song. You repeat something over and over again, it tends to stick with the voters. So you'll see that with ads, just having a little phrase for everybody to support. Okay, Bandwagon. All right. Now this you might see if you're looking around town. All right, you'll notice there's a poster that's sort of the pro Mundelein, and it has 4 different names on it, has Lentz and 3 other candidates. That's kind of a bandwagon ad because what you're trying to say is, you know, vote for this person and then vote for this person and kind of follow the crowd. Like here's a whole slate of people you should be supporting. So you want people to follow the crowd, be with the majority. All right. I'm voting for candidate X, so you should do the same thing. Okay. And you kind of saw that with Obama with his large crowds and things like that. Hillary did the same thing. These are some pictures from back in '08, but it's kind of that everybody else is really supportive. You'll see TV ads where you'll have like 10 different people saying, "I'm voting for this person, I'm voting for this person." It just kind of gets people to go with the flow. The best bandwagon ad of all time is probably with the first ad in 1952 of Dwight Eisenhower. I like Ike, you like Ike. Okay. We then have name calling. All right, this is where you don't discuss the facts. You just give the opposition a bad name, and you want to get it to stick. Okay, liberal has become a pretty bad word in politics recently, so you want to try and say liberal Joe Biden, or liberal Brad Schneider, stuff like that, or Tea Party candidate Rob Dole. You want that name to kind of stick on the person. George Bush probably did this the best by labeling John Kerry a flip-flopper. Okay, but if you call someone a name, get it to stick, that works. You probably won't see that in local politics because we generally don't get too dirty unless we send out anonymous mailers. Okay, transfer ads. This is where you use a symbol to accomplish purposes other than the original meaning. Okay, so you put something up that's not actually supportive of the candidate, but you use that symbol to make people associate that image with something good or something bad. Okay, most Republican ads are going to have Lincoln's picture on it. Okay, hey, Lincoln was a good guy, he was a Republican, I should vote for a Republican. All right, you see this one obviously for patriotism in a lot of instances. With that, okay? We want people to transfer a positive image to something else, okay? And I think, again, Holly Kim's kind of trying that. The support Mundelein by locals, she doesn't really own a local business, but she is trying to have people kind of take that notion of buying local, which is a good thing. Who would oppose that because they want to support their town, and then transfer that to then vote for Holly Kim. Okay, there was a kid that ran for class treasurer. Okay, and he was running for junior class treasurer, and his name happened to be Junior. So he was kind of going for the transfer ad of thinking he's a junior, his name's Junior, you should vote for him for that junior office. So he did some successful transfer ads, and Gorski actually helped him on that campaign too. All right, and testimonial ads. All right, so this is where we endorse a celebrity. So somebody else comes out and says, I support this person for X reasons, X, Y, and Z. You should do the same thing. All right. Oprah supported Obama, and based on her testimony. And people may not know a lot about Obama, but they like Oprah, so I'll vote for him. Okay. So those are your testimonial ads. Usually that's with a celebrity. A bandwagon is more with a common person. Okay, and I think the last one I'm going to have, there might be one more, is card stacking. All right, this is where you present one side of an issue through a distortion of or juggling of the facts. Okay, so you present something that's misleading. You try and show only the bad stuff. The anonymous mailer that went out against Mr. Frazier would be card stacking, because you're trying to associate a scandal from the 90s and tie that to him, even though, as I think we pointed out in class, the article actually made him look pretty good, but they highlighted the parts that were bad. So they were distorting the issue to make it look worse. The example the book uses is 2 + 2 is 22. You're stacking the deck. You're not presenting all the facts, but you're kind of cherry picking would be kind of the phrase that they use for something like that. Okay, and that concludes our lesson here on propaganda techniques and types of ads. Make sure in your project you identify both. Thank you for listening.